Okay, welcome everybody to the first ever Blindfold Battles game on between me and Jan Ludvig Hammer. What is this? Well, we are playing a blindfold game. Did you know that we have blindfold pieces on Chess.com that you can use as a training tool with your friends and actually try to get better at chess? No? Well, now you do. So he played e4. You can see it both from the highlighted squares, that's all you get, and on the notation, but everything else you're keeping track of in your head. The only thing highlighted is the last move played, which makes this very difficult. But for all of you, you get to see both the board moves being played right now and the game. Jan Ludvig and I are not looking at the board. It's kind of on the honor system a little bit because if he wanted to, he could cheat. But because we're both recording, I assume if he looks over and does a whole bunch of cheating, then we're gonna get caught, right? Because let's be honest, he really needs to cheat against me. He's only Norway's second best player. He's a stud. He's really, really good. And right now we have a Rossalimo Sicilian with the castles line, knight f6. This is still all theory. I know that one of the most difficult things to keep track of these things as they go is where all the pieces are, obviously. But when it's still theory, we're both still pretty much on the same track. With Rook E1, I have to remember, is he going to play the C3, D4 line, or is he going to castle? If I play A6, he's already going to bring the bishop back to F1. So I'm gonna play E6. I don't remember if this is the most accurate approach to the system, but that's what I'm doing. Checking on the audio, not looking at the board. Don't worry, everybody. Only you can see the board. It's actually minimized, but the screen capture has it. So, okay, he played C2 to C3, so he's playing for D4 as suspected. I'm going to go ahead and attack the bishop. He's going to bring it back to F1, and then I'm going to play bishop E7 and try to get castled. He may go to D3 and then attempt to put the bishop on C2. That's the other idea here. One of the funky things I'm going to try here, if I can get away with G6, D4, bishop G7, E5, if I can fianchetto along with E6, I'm going to be much less worried about the attack on my queen side. But now after D4, if bishop to G7, E5, knight D5, E takes D... No, if bishop G7, E5... takes, I have to move the knight. It's kind of risky, but I'm going to risk it to get that biscuit. I'm expecting E5 and for it to become a little bit of a mess. The time control is 5-2. It is a rated game. So we are putting everything on the line in our blindfold battles, right? We're not afraid. We ain't scared. Bishop to F4 immediately puts pressure on the D6 pawn. That's clearly a problem with how I've approached the position. Okay, if I play E5, he takes. Knight H5 is a tempo on the bishop. And then I can take back. If I play queen to C7, he's just going to take it. If I take on D4, he takes on D6. Maybe that's the best chance, though. If I take on D4 and he takes on D6, I'm not going to get castled. That's going to be horrible for me. So this is already not looking very good. Let's mix it up. Let's play E5, create some tactics. If D takes E5, I have knight H5. He's going to move the bishop. But he can actually go to G5. Darn it! So I'm just blundering away the game, aren't I? And this is how the first game was lost. A bad opening for me to start. And really, I'm much better than this. This is just bad things happening. But because it's blindfold, I'm not just going to give up on the game. There's always the chance that your opponent might blunder. I'm taking back with the bishop, and then I'm going to play queen takes. I can even pre-move that. Have you ever seen a pre-move in blindfold? First time ever. You know what they said? They said it was impossible, but let me tell you something.
Nothing is impossible!
Oh, whoa, Shia, don't start yelling at everybody, okay? But thanks, dude. Did he just play bishop h6? Preventing me from castling? They said it was impossible. But as Shia just told us, I'm going to play queen to e7. If he plays e5, I'll bring the bishop back to g7. I'm just worse. I mean, I'm down a pawn. With the complicated tactics, it's going to be harder and harder to sort of keep track of everything here. I need to complete my development, though, so I'm going to put my knight on e5 with the goal of bringing the bishop on c8 out. He takes it. I'm going to take with the bishop, I think. The only other way you can remember the moves is going back through the notation and remembering the whole thing in your head. E4, c5, knight f3, d6, bishop e5, check, knight d7. But that's not easy to do. Knight to c4? thought he played queen to d2. But it was b1 and d2 that was highlighted. Oh, that was bad by me then. That was really bad by me. I can't even go to c7 because there's a pawn on d6. The signs of the rust is setting in. Haven't played Blindfold in too long. All right, but it's a best of 3. Every Blindfold battle will be at least a best of 3. Don't expect me to go down without a fight. One of the things that'll be fun and interesting after this is not only, the process of seeing, what happens here, but, I'm going to go over the game, provide some advice, both the X's and O's of the position itself and what happened, but also the, the process of how you can build these muscles for yourself and improve your visualization. There's actually a number of exercises. I have some videos on Chess.com about it. Okay, he played queen to d2 now. So where are all the pieces? I believe the pieces are bishop on h6, pawn on h2, king on g1, pawn on g2, pawn on f2. There's no longer knight on f3. Rook on e1, pawn on e4, queen on d2, pawn on c3, pawn on b2, pawn on a2, rook on a1. And he has a bishop on f1. I have rook on h8, pawn on h7, knight on h5, pawn on g6, queen on e7, bishop on e6, pawn on e5, pawn on c5, pawn on b7, pawn on a6, rook on a8, king on e8, queen on e7, obviously, if I didn't. Okay, so the f4 square for the knight is possibly but he's got the bishop and the queen on the diagonal. I'd like to play rook to d8. Running out of time here. He's going to play queen to e3. What I'd really like to do is get my king out of the center and somehow castle long, right? I do have an opposite colored bishop. There is an opposite colored bishop dynamic. So let's offer a queen trade. See if he wants to trade queens. Maybe I take with the king and then bring my king to c6. No, of course he doesn't want to trade queens. He ignores my challenge. Brings the queen in to g5, which is attacking the e5 pawn. Ugh. Ugh. At least I have the f4 square possibly available. I play queen to c7. If he plays g4, knight f4, queen f6, am I just losing the rook on h8? Because if I move to g8, he has bishop takes f4, pawn takes, queen takes e6. So g4 might be a real problem for me. Bishop e2 is a safer way to go for the same idea. This is just becoming an absolute nightmare. I'm going to back my bishop up to f7. Risking that he'll take it. I'll pre-move it, actually. I'll pre-move retaking the knight. Maybe I can get the g-file. My only outside chance at a draw here is that he gets in some sort of opposite code bishop position that I can hold in the long run. But this has not been the best game for me. I didn't play the opening well at all. Okay, he doesn't. He just ignores it. Brings the rook over to d1. I'm going to play knight f4 now. And I might be able... Okay, he avoids the opposite code bishops. I'll play rook to g8. Oh no, he has rook d7 now, or bishop to d7. And I'm busted. I actually just have to capture, and I'm just losing the queen. Yeah, he goes for it. All right. We'll pre-move. Where are all the pieces here? Knight's on f4, bishop's on f7, rook's on g8. I need to get the other rook to e8. If he plays check, I'll play... Actually, I can't even play king to c6, because then queen f6 check. If I block with the bishop, he takes the knight and removes the defender. So if he gives check, I'll go to c... No! Oh, he can just play queen takes c5. I forgot about that. This is getting really bad. Down the queen. I'll play knight e6. I'll run the king up. I'll let him play queen d5 check. With king to b6 next. But, I mean, I'm obviously just completely lost here, sort of just playing it out to help myself work out the bugs here. Just got back from a workout, by the way. Threw on this hat because I wanted the, I didn't want to change or shower or anything, because why do that? That's gross. Okay, I'm just going to resign now. Yeah, after king to b5, he's going to play it. So... Okay, well, that was a tough loss, a bad game to start, but the show continues here, and now I'm white. Okay, there will be analysis after the games, going over things. Should I play the Verisov? Let's play the Verisov. There'll be analysis after the games, going over things with all the pieces. Okay, visual. Where we will dive into some of the instructional aspects. I'm going to talk a little bit more on, like I said, some of the things you can do to help increase your visualization skills. This is not just a parlor trick. The ability to keep track of the full board is really important. It's actually the thing that often is preventing blunders, not tactical, even pattern recognition or your ability to go I go there, he goes there. It's the ability to sort of bigger picture, not just close your eyes and see, green and white checkered squares, but know exactly where all the pieces are, and be able to keep them organized in your head as the game gets more complex. How often do you make a blunder at the end of your lines where you calculated 5 moves and you thought it was good, but you forgot at some point in the middle of it you took a pawn which opened a diagonal for the bishop, and that's where the blunder was, right? The position changes as you calculate variations, and your ability to keep track of those changes is actually more helpful in terms of blunders than not. I'm going to play the really aggressive Verisov line, trying to take him out of his comfort zone. Play immediately bishop h6. You just go for it here. I want to play f3, g4, h4, h5 like a dragon, castles long, and just, go for it. We'll pre-move even, just in case he takes it, save a little bit of time. I will need all the time I can get against the Norwegian Super GM here. I hope everyone's checked out Jan Ludvig's videos on Chess.com, his premium videos, the ones that are much more educational, really diving into some good stuff. And he really was pretty transparent with his thought process, and I just thought his videos were really awesome. Pretty honest statements on his own play, honest reflections, and his opponents. So if you missed his videos where he went over all his games from the Norway Chess Classic, you should check those out. All right, didn't I take back? Oh, no, I didn't pre-move it. I should have pre-moved captured. I'm looking at the notation over here every time my eyes go over there. Okay, knight to c6. So what I want to do is probably just castles long, but now that the game is getting into this weird territory, I don't think that we're going to get a traditional Verisov. So I'm not, with my queen on h6, preventing him from castling. I'm not just going to play for f3 and g4, h4, h5, sacrificing my kingside development when, I don't exactly know what's going to happen. So he plays bishop d7. I'm just going to develop the knight to f3. I'm still in a position where I could castle short. I haven't, committed anything from a structural perspective on the king side, which I really like. So I kind of like my approach right now. And maybe he's going to castle long, right? That's what he's saying. He's like, well, you're not going to castle long. I am. He played queen to b6. I bet he castles long next move, huh? I need to be worried about shots with knight e4 at some point now that the queen's on my bishop. If he removes the knight from c3, then I lose my defender. So if I take on c6 and then put my knight on e5, the nice thing about the knight on a5 is it hits f7 and prevents him from castling. The problem is he has queen takes b2. So I don't want to blunder that. I'm going to just go castle long. If he castles long, then I might transition by taking on c6 and putting my knight to e5. He does it. Yep, he castled long. I'm double-checking the highlight squares because I want to know. That's what we should add to this. We should have a screen capture of the notation so everyone can see that, right? I'm going to do that right now. I think I can do that mid-video now with the updates to our software. Look at that. Boom. I don't know where it's going to go, though, because there's not enough room on the template. So we'll put it right up here, just so people can follow. For those who want to follow the notation, you can follow it. I know it's small, but hey, it's not the size that counts, right? It's how you use it. Follow the notation. That's an important addition, I believe, to this whole experience. Never more than right now have I wanted to see the pieces on the board. Bishop takes c6. He's going to take back. I want to put my knight on e5. Again, I'm not that worried about his knight coming to e4. I actually think white's a little better here. Wait, he already pre-moved, took back. Wow. That's why this is hard, because the highlights are so weird. He's already played bishop e8. Okay, I have to realize he's playing very fast here. Wait a second. Does that allow queen to g7? No. Just bring the other rook to e1. Solid position. I got all my pieces in the center here. Knights on c3 and e5. Rooks on e1 and d1. King on c1. Queen on h6. It's a very useful thing if you're trying to build your blindfold muscles to do that throughout the game. Take a recount of where all the pieces are. Okay, for yourself, for your own benefit. Playing this move f3 with the idea that I'm keeping the knight out of g4 and e4. It's a prophylactic move, prophylaxis. Taking a recount of where all the pieces are constantly will help you to recognize inconsistencies in your thought process, because you'll be doing it and you'll be like, wait, I just said the rook's on a1. It's not on a1. Darn it, I forgot to get rid of my office phone. Oh, shush your mouth when you're calling my office phone. It was actually the wifey. I shouldn't say shush your mouth. I didn't say that. Nobody show her this video. Rook to d6. He's doing a weird rook lift. My queen's on h6. There's no pressure there. Maybe I can bring the... I can play g4 and g5, but I feel like the queen might have overstayed her welcome there, and maybe time to bring that lady back. I have pawns on a2, b2, c2, knight on c3, king on c1, pawn on d4, rook on d1, pawn on e5, queen on e3, rook on e1, pawn on f3, g2, h2. So what'll happen is when we're done, like, I think that's what it is. You guys can see it. I can't. But if I'm right about where all the pieces are, then when I'm done, I can see, oh, I actually misevaluated that. I don't think I have, though. By the way, notice if I take on f7, takes, and then knight to b5, he moves, and then I get d6. It's kind of a cool idea, right? I'm going to play h4, just like stick the pawn stuck. But this idea of knight takes f7, bishop takes, knight b5, queen moves, knight takes with check. If he takes with the queen, I get e7, so I get a second pawn. I have a rook and two pawns for the two minors, and his pieces aren't optimally coordinated. The problem is, why do that? My knight on e5 right now is a beast, right? It's hitting f7, and as long as his bishop is on e8, his rook on h8 is not getting into the game. So I feel better about my chances now. The other idea is to move the knight from e5 at a key point and unleash the battery of the queen and the rook on this file with e7, right? Okay, he plays a6. He's sort of playing these little... Why can't I play a3? Oh, I can't. I just did it and it didn't. I was like, oh, I don't know the position. I'm like, no, I know the position. He played a6 as a prophylactic measure to avoid tactics on b5. I get it. I'm just sort of playing fast right now. I don't want to get under too much time pressure. What did he just play? Knight to d7. Knight to d7, checking the notation. Yep. d5 is not hanging. That's why he played it. That's why he did this whole idea. Was to try to, with the rook on d6, was to create this scenario. But now I'm going to retreat, which unleashes the queen on e3 to hit e7. And possibly I'm going to bring my knight into c5 instead. I feel like I can do it. I feel like I can win this game. He plays e6. Okay, the knight's no longer on f6. Is there tactics? Can I play queen f4? I have pressure here. I can also play knight to c5, but that's like the obvious move. I'd love to get some sort of pressure. He's got this rook on h8. But don't look for tactics where they don't exist. Chess Advice 101. I'm going to put the knight on c5. If he takes, I take with tempo on the rook. He plays rook to c6. I can play knight a4 because the bishop on e8 is now blocked, and that might head into b6. Did he take it? He did. Now we take back. If he plays rook c6, okay, he doesn't. He sees that, so he doesn't close off his bishop. He backs up. But we're still better here. But our edge may be slipping if we're not careful. We've got all these pieces in the center. Can I, like, take on d5? There's no concrete tactics here. So what we need to do is relocate our knight to a proper dark square and keep the positional bind going. Something like queen to d4, knight f4, d3 to e5. Maybe the knight comes into b4. If I get my knight on d3, I'm holding the doubled c-pawn and the dark squares. So this is still an edge for... Oh, king b8 is preparing rook c8. I see it. So I have to play knight f4 now so that I can go to d3. But if I do that, oh no, if I do knight f4, rook c8, knight d3, he has bishop b5. At this point, I'm almost pot committed. I have to play b4 at some point. So I'm going to play king to b1 to try to bring my knight to c1 and to b3, and I'm going to just play b4. I'm pot committed now. I mean, I have to hold on to that c pawn. I'm going to bring my knight to c1 and to b3, where it also holds the dark squares. And this idea of b4 will not be that bad if I can get him to let me do queen e5, which now would actually force a queen trade because the king and queen are on the same diagonal if I'm keeping track right. Black's pieces are on pawn on a6, king on b8, pawn on b7, queen on c7, rook on c8, bishop now on a4. Aha, he wants to play some weird thing like b6 and take advantage of the c2 pawn. Maybe I don't care. Maybe I just play knight to d4 here and just say, whatevs, Holmes. I like that move. Oh, he plays b6, he goes for it. Is he still just going to take on c2? If I take on b6... If I take on b6 and he takes on c2, I have king to b2, and then I'm winning material. So I don't think he can do that. He's going to just take back with his queen. And then I'll play... What? That's not a good move for him. That's not a good move for him at all. Now I'm coming up. He definitely miscalculated this. But the problem is there's no time, right? No time for anybody. Oh, wow, this is going to get crazy. This is literally just going to get crazy. This is Blitz. It's a time scramble of blindfold chess. I've never done this before. It's amazing when we do something in chess that I've actually never done before still. Play a4. How can I get his rook? Can I play knight c2? His rook might get trapped if he's not careful. You have to remember where all the pieces are as we get into a time scramble. He plays rook g8. He wants to play g5, but I'm just going to stop that right now. Boom. f4 and g3. I can also just bring my knight back to d4. b5. He played a5. I played b5. I don't want him getting in. Where do you go? Bishop e2? Check. He's got to back up now. King to b6, only move, yeah. Rook d4. Attack the bishop. I think it's just going to be a draw. Where I put my rook on f2. Okay. Doesn't have anything. Oh, I could have taken his bishop with my knight. I missed that. Oh, I just blundered. I blundered the a pawn. No, I didn't. I have rook d4. Where is things? I don't know where things are, but I do have knight c6. It's protected. I'm going to get the a5 pawn. Take a5. Take there. What? Where? I'm losing track of where pieces are. I think I can come back. If he pushes e2, I have knight f3 guarding the pawn. I think. It's almost pure speculation on my part right now. I'm trying to keep track of where the pieces are being moved. I literally don't know where the pieces are right now. F5, F6, F7. Oh, he took. What? Oh, he's got protection of the bishop? I lost track of things. He just took my knight. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. I was definitely better, but I couldn't. That is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in a chess game. I mean, I'm not even kidding, right? That was what happened there. We're gonna find out right now when we go over the games, but that was amazing. That was amazing. I got to tell him. I couldn't keep track. If I just kept my king on b5, if I just kept my king on b5, right, with the a pawn, like I was the only one who could win that, so I thought I should go after his pawns, but that was a bad idea because I let his a pawn in. I let his king in through the a file. I mean, but let's go over this game first and foremost right now. And change the pieces and see what the truth was. Okay, so this was all lost for me. But back here, like, okay, back here the position was fine, right? I have the a pawn, he has that pawn. It's just a draw. I should have just moved back and forth. I saw that he couldn't make progress here if I didn't allow it, but for some reason I thought that I was winning over here. What I forgot was that the bishop was open here, which was so difficult. One more. Okay, he wants more. All right, here we go. So we're going back to Blindfold Pieces. How you do that is you go into your settings of Chess.com. You change to the blindfold board. You said he's enjoying himself beating me. Well, good for you, Jan. All right, let's do it. All right, last one. Here we go. Rematch. I'm black. Let's play a little bit better this time than I did the first time around. Plus, now we've got this whole notation idea added. All right, I'm gonna play e5. We'll go for the Petrov, something I don't play very often, something I did work on for a little while. We'll play this sort of weird line. We'll see if he knows it. Queen to e2, and then you play queen to e7, and then you play d6, and then you take. I'm sure he knows this line. Knight to c6. But maybe sometimes you get people to blunder and blitz. The point is that bishop f4 is not a good move to guard the pawn on e5 because of g5. That's kind of the key. And black all of a sudden gets this rushing initiative. So, yeah, okay, he knows the line, which of course is knight to c3, and now I'm just going to be worse. Fun fact. Dan will be worse, right? But we'll go for the endgame. Queen takes e5. He's going to take back. I'm going to take. Now he's going to take advantage of my queen side with knight to b5. That's right. Is queen takes e5 not a good move there? I think it might be bad. So I'm going to go for an endgame where I have an isolated pawn. Black is a little worse now. But okay, it's a game. Black is a little worse. It's a game. I can try to take advantage of my centralized knight. He castles long, so we're going to play king to e7 to guard the pawn. We'll play a6 to guard the a7 pawn. Don't ever forget, those are the kind of mistakes you make in blindfold, is that the bishop is on the diagonal. His king to b2, so I should probably bring the A rook to the C file because the other rook is likely going to be needed on the D file. Although, oh, why didn't I play knight g4 there? Oh, he just prevented it. I should have played knight g4 last move, I think. Although, if knight g4, he just plays bishop d4, and what do I have to show for it? Nothing. So the problem now is, what's a plan? I'm going to bring the other rook to d8 with the thought that I might have a chance to play d5 at some point, eliminating my isolated pawn. He plays rook d2 and allows me to get d5 if I so please. I feel like I should do it. All right, I'll play d5. He's going to bring the other rook over. Right? I'm going to play rook to d7. Pieces on some say. He plays h3 because he doesn't want me to play knight g4. Possibly forcing a opposite code bishop sort of simplification. So now he plays rook to d1. I have this structure with the isolated pawn. I'm definitely a little worse. He also has the bishop pair, but it's solid, so I just need to kind of be patient here. Play f6 to protect the knight. Karpovian chess, I guess. Oh, wow, he just marches ahead for g4. That's a little bit risky. If I play h5, can I not undermine? Probably that would be risky for me because he... Yeah, so I'll play king to f7. Bring the king over. Oh, did I miss this? Oh, I missed this. Now he gets f5. Oh, darn. Oh, darn. I missed this. f4 and f5. I'm blundering. King f7. King f7 just blundered away my bishop on e6. I'm going to play it out just so you guys can see it. But here comes f5, and with it is the loss of my bishop. And I'm just going to resign, as that is not great. Well, the first ever Blindfold Battles was a ton of fun. I played pretty well in one game. That second game, keeping track of that knight and bishop, that was just a mess, right? And trying to play with the blindfold pieces under time trouble is about one of the funniest things ever, right? I mean, as you're watching it, and you guys can see the board, but I was just like freaking out. I couldn't tell. So now I'm going to switch back. Not going to unminimize the board that you guys can see. I'm just going to do it over here in the main board. And I said I blundered that, and he said, yeah, I kind of figured, but this was good. It was fun. Jan Ludvig, a class act. I'm going to tell him. All right, so now I'm going to switch to the blindfold, to the regular pieces, back to my favorite new set, the Neo board. And yeah, as predicted. But okay, let's go to my archive. All right. In Chess.com, did you know that you can type /archive and then your username or anyone's username and it gets all the games? Did you know that you can type / for anything? Right? You can type a / and then like help, / challenge, / play. Like a lot of commands. A lot of people who like quick typing commands don't know that we have those. So let's go over this one here, this crazy game where, okay, checking the username showed up. Oh, but now the notation screen is off. But the truth is we don't need the notation screen anymore at this point because we're in analysis mode, and let's just let's follow along. So, why is the game not showing? Huh. That's a big bug. There's no game. It's not showing any of the moves in analysis. I'm going to have to report that. Not showing any of the moves in the analysis board. That's really disappointing. Because it was blindfold, so I'm actually having a hard time remembering what the game was. It was a Verisov, right? Let's see if I can remember the game. Played this way with g6. I played queen to d2, hitting h6. He went here, and I went for this, kind of not a very principled move, but I did it. He took, which takes away the ability to castle, but now he gets c5. He wanted to take advantage of the queen side, knight to c6. I decided to play bishop b5. keeping my options open. I remember to castle short or long. In this position, I realized what his goal was and decided, all right, well, we'll both castle long. And after eliminating this and playing knight e5, white is definitely a little better here. In fact, I really like my position here. Knight's in the center, pieces coordinated. He played either queen to c7 or rook d6 first. Then I played f3. And now he played rook to d6. I decided the queen had sort of outworn her welcome, right? He played h5, I played h4. He played a6, I played a3, kind of just solidly building up on the dark squares. Now he went for this knight d7 move, which must have been his whole idea behind having the rook on d6 because it guards the d5 pawn. Otherwise I would be taking there. And I wish I had something good here. It feels like his pieces are sort of on their heels and, more time in a standard game. Maybe I could come up with something. But I played knight to d3, which was also interesting, and then went for this. The transition with this double pawn here. I thought I could grip the dark squares, which I think I was right about, that I could grip it, but I didn't realize, I didn't see this plan. This plan was really strong. It forced my hand with b4. But now he plays for this whole b6 idea. I don't know. It seemed a little suspect to me, honestly. But maybe I have something better here. Should I try to grip the dark squares differently? Is c6 a possible move? I don't know. But I took... And I calculated this, as we said, like this, so that now he would be in trouble. He'd have to play a move like this to hold on to the bishop, and I could play rook to c1 and pick up the bishop. So that's what I was calculating, if you remember. And I didn't see this coming. And perhaps I overreacted here with trading. Can I play queen e5? Can I play something else? No, he's going to get c2. So I did the right move. I took and played here. He played rook to c8, and I guarded. Right? And then he played here, and I guarded. And then he took, and I went here, and he went here. That's right. Then I played c3. He played something like this, right? And then no, that must not have been. No, he played here. I played here, and then he went here, but I wanted to go here. I wanted to attack his rook, remember? So something like this happened here with f4, and then I went here and played f4 with tempo, right, and closed it up. And at this point, I don't really think that either side should lose this. I felt like the way he pushed it, I might have had the potential to be doing okay, but of course, I'm sure we'll see his analysis later, and he'll say something totally different. But I had a strategical goal in mind, at least. So I was proud of myself for I was able to visualize a plan, gripping the dark squares, preventing counterplay, and knowing that I could basically hold this position, right? I had a plan and was able to do that until the serious time pressure set in. He obviously was not interested in a draw. Maybe I could have tried to simplify the position a little earlier, something like rook e1. You know what? That looks good. If I had gone for some idea where I could get my knight into e5, that would have been much better than what I did. I spent so much time fiddling around with my knight over here on the queen side, but, let's just do an example. If we get something similar to the game and my knight pops into e5, now f7 comes under fire, and I think that white has much better chances. So I didn't really realize until it was too late that e5 was a square that was begging for the knight. I kept going into d4. And that was probably part of my undoing. The first game, of course, was just a much worse Sicilian for me. I was blundering out of the opening, so not too much to look at there. This e6, g6 idea, if you want to go back in the video in case you play that line, was totally suspect by me because I didn't have time to fianchetto the bishop. So there you go. And then, okay, the second time I played this sort of funny Petrov little weird gambit line, and not something that he's going to fall for. But I'm excited. This is going to keep happening. I'm going to take him down. You know what they say? They say that it's impossible for me to take him down. You know what I say to that?
It's impossible.
What is that, Shia?
Nothing is impossible.
Wait, will you say that one more time for me?
Nothing is impossible.
Okay, thanks, buddy. And that's the story. See ya.